Stephen Miller, in his fervor to get rid of anybody in this country that's not white, is lying to you again.
We talk about test scores. Well, if you subtract immigration out of test scores, all of a sudden our test scores skyrocket.
100% untrue. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite is true. When ICE arrests rise, student test scores fall, new study suggests. Researchers have found a connection between heightened immigration enforcement arrests and a decline in test scores among students whose home language is Spanish, according to a new working paper. David Figlio, a professor of economics and education at the University of Rochester, and his co-author, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, analyzed student-level data from a school district in Florida for the school years from 22 to 23 to 24-25. They also examined immigration and custom enforcement apprehension data for Florida during those years using deportationdata.org, which compiles such information from public record requests. Because the researchers did not have access to the exact locations of apprehensions, they instead focused on the nationality of those apprehended in the state. Figlio hypothesized that students sharing the nationality of those apprehended could still feel the impact of the arrest even if the incident didn't happen nearby. Researchers found that as immigration apprehensions spiked among nationalities shared by students in a given school in the district, Hispanic students' standardized state test scores declined on average, and the decline was greater among students whose home language is Spanish. The drop in Spanish-speaking students was the same for U.S.-born and foreign-born students. What this is suggesting is that this is not just an effect born of foreign-born students regardless of immigration status. This is an effect on U.S. citizens as well, Figlio said. The new study, with credible results, adds to prior research that had found immigration raids and immigration enforcement can have substantial effects on families and their children. At some level, I think it's fair to describe these activities as traumatic for kids, and so we would expect that to be reflected in test scores and longer-run measures. Translation: what Stephen Miller just told you is literally the exact opposite of truth. When we see these ICE immigration raids happen, which remove immigrants from our country, we see an effect on test scores that causes our test scores to drop in this country. Listen, there isn't if Stephen Miller told me the fucking sky was blue, I would double check just to make sure. There isn't a fucking thing that man could say to me that I would believe at this point.